My name is Olivia and my husband is Gregory. We have been married for 15 years, and our story is one that I always find interesting to tell. We met in a rather interesting way. When I was a teenager, about 17 years old, I had a very hard time with logarithms and integrals. These were the most important topics in exams, as many of the questions and assignments were strongly related to them. My difficulties became a serious concern, and my mother decided that the best solution would be to hire a math tutor for me. Since I was planning to enter the physics department, we searched for a tutor for quite some time. Many of them were either not a good fit for me or just didn't seem qualified enough. We became increasingly frustrated, but eventually found Alex, who became my tutor. From the beginning, our sessions went smoothly, and soon I began to understand much more than I had initially realized. He was able to explain in such a way that I just couldn't tear myself away. It wasn't just math. There was a spark between us that neither of us could ignore. Gregory, who was my tutor at the time, decided that he would wait for me until I was out of high school and wanted to be the one to lead me into adulthood. At the time, Gregory was only 5 years older than me, and he was just starting out, handsome, smart, and determined. But out of everyone, he chose me. As a 17-year-old girl, I was flattered by this attention, and soon we were married. Our married life can be described as a roller coaster ride full of ups and downs. We fought constantly over our different views on life, and sometimes it seemed as if we would never agree on anything. But those fights weren't really the cause of everything that followed. Gregory had a younger brother named Andrew, who was the same age as me, and we always got along just fine. There was a kind of lightness in our relationship that made it so enjoyable. We laughed together, shared jokes, and found comfort in each other's company. Gregory was sometimes a little jealous, but he was so sure of both of us that he never doubted anything deeper. He was too trusting, too blind to see what was happening right in front of him, which often worked in my favor. Gregory had always been more strong-willed and stubborn, while Andrew was softer, kinder, and more humble. There was something refreshing about Andrew's gentleness, contrasting with Gregory's intensity. Everything changed on my 35th birthday. I've always loved celebrating my birthdays with big parties. Lots of guests, lots of contests, delicious food, and endless laughter. I thrive on moments like these, surrounded by people who bring joy into my life. Of course, Andrew came to celebrate with me. The party was lively and everyone seemed to be having a great time. Gradually, however, the evening began to wind down and the guests began to leave one by one. Gregory, being a workaholic, announced that he was tired and wanted to go to bed, as he had work to do the next morning. He worked tirelessly, not giving himself a single free moment. I admired his dedication, but there were times when it became too much. Andrew and I assured Gregory that we would take care of the rest and advised him to go get some rest. After Gregory left, Andrew and I stayed, continuing to talk until well into the night. It was already 3 a.m, and even though it was late, we were enjoying ourselves immensely, oblivious to the time. We laughed, shared stories, and reminisced about old memories. There was something magical about this moment, an undeniable chemistry that was impossible to ignore. I could feel the tension building between us, and it made goosebumps run down my spine. I'd never imagined I'd have feelings like this, much less for another man, much less Gregory's brother. But it was impossible to deny it. I was on the verge of something I couldn't put into words. When I heard Gregory's movements in the next room, something inside me shifted. It was as if I was standing on the edge of something exciting and dangerous, and I wanted to jump. I felt an exhilarating rush of energy unlike anything I'd experienced before. Andrew looked up at me, and there was an understanding in his eyes of what we both wanted. He leaned toward me and whispered, calling it another birthday present for you. In that moment, I felt like I was making the most exciting decision of my life. There was something so wrong and right about it at the same time. After that night, our marriage to Gregory continued as if nothing had changed. On the surface, everything was the same. Our fights, our moments together, our everyday life. But underneath it all, there was something new, something secret, belonging only to Andrew and me. Our meetings continued, each one as exciting and nervous as the last. We met in secret, away from prying eyes, and each time I felt the same rush of energy, the same sense of elation that had swept over me on the night of my birthday. It wasn't just the physical connection, but the thrill, the mystery, the danger. There was something about being with Andrew that made me feel alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. Life went on, but now I had two versions of myself. There was Olivia, who was Gregory's wife, a devoted partner who was there for him, running the household, supporting his career, and trying to keep their marriage strong despite the ups and downs. And then there was Olivia, who came alive in those stolen moments with Andrew, who reveled in the thrill of the forbidden, found comfort and passion in his arms. It was a double life, and I found myself drawn deeper and deeper into it, unable and unwilling to let go. Andrew and I met at every opportunity, at family gatherings, during the holidays, and even when Gregory was busy at work. We became experts at sneaking into the house, at finding the moment when no one was looking. Sometimes we felt like we were teenagers again, caught up in the excitement of a secret crush. Sometimes it was harder, the weight of what we were doing weighing on me, reminding me of the consequences if we were ever caught. But despite the risks, I couldn't stop. There was something intoxicating about Andrew's presence, something that made me feel seen and understood in a way I hadn't felt in years. My life had become a balancing act, and every day was a new challenge to keep the two parts of myself separate. I knew what I was doing was wrong, that I was betraying Gregory's trust, but I couldn't bring myself to end it. The thrill, the passion, the connection with Andrew, it was all too strong to let me go, and I continued to live a double life, knowing that at any moment it could all come crashing down, but unwilling to give up the one thing that made me feel truly alive.